So at the end of the Nazi pipeline is fascism, and I think the end of the left progressive pipeline should be utopianism. Both of them are kind of hyperbolic states of organizing society that kind of maximizes a specific outcome. For me, at least, utopianism, as it's rooted in my own anarchism, is more of a distribution of happiness than fascism, which is like a concentration of happiness. So I kind of try personally to work with a moral system that can apply to everybody. How it ends up being put into practice is I believe that every single individual has a place in utopian society, in the end result that we're trying to get to. That includes everybody. So in order to accommodate that process of value, I have to consider all of the different ways that somebody might enter into that value system. And people can come from all different ranges, up to and including fascists. In our communities, often there's an overemphasis, or at least there is an anecdote of an overemphasis on accommodation to white dudes. And I think in society broadly, there definitely is an over-accommodation to white dudes. I've experienced this. Whenever we have a structure whenever we have an ideology that's able to accommodate for the perspective of marginalized groups, I think obviously that's necessary and important, and you can't really have a rational or based or grounded worldview if you aren't accommodating everybody who can come into it. But I think I observe a tendency to dehumanize people who are in a class that is oppressive. And I don't think that it's unearned. I definitely think people come find their feelings honestly in this respect. But I also feel like we need to have an understanding of the oppressed group as human in order to fully incorporate them into utopia. All of us have to get there. And if we aren't able to integrate everybody, I don't think the pipeline can be complete. Like, there has to be a way there in order for us to get there, and I definitely think that way has to be available for everybody in everyone's minds also. I mean, like, personally it's tiring, and it's not something that I usually have the willingness to do at the end of a long day, is sit down with somebody who despises the idea of me, and kind of withstand that. I don't think that would be my job personally if somebody was discriminating against me because I'm a gender minority, for me to be putting up with that. But I do think it's necessary for somebody to have the patience to listen to that person and teach them why they're wrong, and or even just humanize me to them, somebody who has the patience to do that, or the ability to do that if I can't. And that applies to all the other minorities too. Like, somebody who is sitting with a racist who is very obviously a racial minority might not have a chance to extend the olive branch there, even if they would want to, which I don't expect everyone to. I just think it's necessary that we do at some point. And to have that as an ideal and as a goal and as an intentional placed part of my ideology, I think that's strengthening it. I don't know. Like I think it's a sad thing whenever somebody moves closer to Nazism or any other extremist ideology that is fascism. Any of them. Like, I think it's a loss for humanity. I think it's a tragedy. I think it's sad because that ideology is just inherently harmful to anybody that it interacts with, including the people who hold it. Like, their lives, they matter too. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with defending yourself. Like, I don't feel like that can be that has to be a contradictory belief. I want it to be as accessible as possible to become a utopianist. I want utopia to be as accessible as possible. I want everybody to be there. And I want everyone to be themselves. Not fascists, obviously, because I don't think that's healthy. As far as two individuals interacting goes, it's a weak spot if I'm unable to accommodate someone into my worldview if they're not aligned with me, even if they're antagonistic towards me. At the same time, as I say, it's important to be able to extend good faith and charity to people on the fascism pipeline, which is potentially anyone, depending on how you view radicalization. It's also essential that we are informed. Nazis, the only ones who spend time online, are really motivated to obscure their beliefs. They're really good at this. They know that being outed as a Nazi is not something they want for their career. Fascism abhors to be described. Veterans who have been fascists, or Nazis really specifically, for a long time are going to be really committed to obscuring what they actually believe. But I don't think that you have to know for certain that somebody's a fascist or even trust them in order to be able to extend some kind of good faith, human-to-human charity towards them. I think that the ability and the interest in the endorsement of that baseline humanization intentionally applied to those that harm us is necessary for the leftward movement of the entire pipeline towards utopianism. I mean, how we incorporate the most extreme opposition is going to implicate every other aspect of our belief system.